All right, it's in between. What's up with Henry Cavill?
Yeah, what were you talking about?
You teased that.
All right, so by the time you guys hear this, it's probably apparent, but there's a rumor that Henry Cavill pops up as Wolverine in the Black Widow movie.
Well, that would be something.
Well,
Now,
I could see him.
Why?
But
Wolverine is a
it's
little
the guy,
little runt.
But I can see the face is what I see. But I hope when they do cast Wolverine that they do this time fix that.
Well, you have to remember, when Hugh Jackman was cast, not in Australia, but worldwide, he was not that well known. So they were casting a virtual unknown.
He was like a 6'2" actor that was supposed to be like Wolverine. I'm sorry. Just because I'm a little bit of a comic purist, Wolverine should be
a little tiny hairy guy.
He should be every comics fan's id. He should be who you think that you are. And you are a normal person that's just super hairy, that's super id, that's all ego, that can somehow get the girl but drinks a lot of beer. I mean, he should be an everyman.
Yeah.
And I love Henry Cavill, and I love Hugh Jackman, but they're not Wolverine to me. And Hugh Jackman has ruined what everybody thinks Wolverine is supposed to be. Now, I really loved Hugh Jackman's performance, and I think Henry Cavill is going to be great if this rumor is true.
I'll be shocked if that rumor is true.
But I just want the character to be every fan or comic fan ever. That's who that's who I see him. I see him as us.
Yeah.
And I don't see Henry Cavill as us.
As much as they hit it in the advertising, but Spider-Man was a big part of Civil War. If they're going to introduce a X-Men character, I don't think it'd be just a little cameo. I think it'd be a bigger part of the movie.
Now,
I don't know. I mean, this is a tease for something future.
But that's what I'm saying. Spider-Man was from another company. It's a tease for more movies coming up, Spider-Man movies, but they put him as a big part of Civil War. I mean, he's part of the fight at the end.
So Henry Cavill is hairy. I mean, dude has a hairy chest, at least. I'm sure that they could make him look that.
Look, if they
it's not about having a hairy chest.
Well, hang on.
Go where? Tell me.
If you're gonna do that,
lay it out.
Then digitally bring him down in size. Do these things and fix it.
Captain America.
I would find it really interesting.
Digitally put a mustache in.
Sure. I would find it really interesting were this to happen. Because it would be the big middle finger to Warner Brothers for them, fucking him over for Superman. Over the past week or so, I've noticed that the Batman vs. Superman, Justice League keep showing up on HBO. And for some reason, I'm still compelled to go watch it and think, okay, is there a better movie here? There's not. I'm never going to think those are better movies. But what I'm struck by every time, and it's mostly whenever I see him reborn and he reconnects with Lois and with his mother, that's an actor that understands how to play that element of that character. Were he to be put in a better Superman film, I think he could do great. And I know we've said this before, so I don't want to beat a dead horse. I hope against hope this is not true, because I would love for them to finally say, you've come on with Mission Impossible, with Witcher, let's give you another shot.
I can't talk about stuff that I know in terms of publishing, but I can tell you that his Superman days are probably over.
Are they?
Yeah.
That sucks. I hate that.
The problem is, and I'm just going to say this as a fan and somebody who watches this media, Warner Brothers can't restart this universe in the way that we want. We're getting a Batman film. But they've lost the organic nature of how Marvel built its universe.
Because Marvel didn't
and they
jump
can
right
never
to the
go
Avengers.
back to it. So what do we have? We have Wonder Woman, right?
Shazam.
Who's running around. And her movie was huge. And she's about to release Wonder Woman 84 and potentially be big as well. And I trust Patty Jenkins to do a good job.
Yeah, she's a good director.
She's a great actor. We had a Superman movie, two Superman movies that made money but ultimately failed in terms of this vision.
Right.
We had Batman popping in, ultimately failing in terms of this vision, even though I honestly think that he's a great actor for Batman. I think he's actually really good. He's a mature Affleck. He's a good mature Batman.
I agree.
We're still going forward with a Flash movie based upon Ezra Miller and his appearance in Batman Superman
and
Justice League.
And Justice League. Justice League.
And in the Flash on TV.
Sure. And we have Aquaman that did okay, and Shazam that did well.
For that one.
No, Aquaman did better than okay. Its box office is pretty strong.
Yeah. But they haven't announced a sequel, have they?
Yeah, they have.
Juan said he's working on it.
Kind of sequels. They've got the Aquaman sequel, and then they were talking about one about the monsters that came from the deep, like somehow doing a movie based on
the
that.
Trench. That's not going to happen.
And they also talked about Patrick Wilson's character doing a standalone, something of that. So that's what I don't want to see. Don't go down to that point. And I think Sean even said it, where Warner Brothers failed was that they went, we've got to get an Avengers out right here. Now. They should have said, no, okay, we're going to do the same path. Let's tell stories that just overlap, and they keep doing these things, and they could have done it. I mean, they should have gone to Bruce Timm and said, teach us what you did with the animated series, and let's make that into feature films. Because those animated series were pretty freaking spot on what they need to be.
Were I Henry Cavill,
you tell Warner Brothers fuck off?
I would go be the next Hugh Jackman and Wolverine over at Marvel.
Because
I know Marvel can build that.
I agree.
I would say fuck off to your Superman because I have no faith that you're going to use me.
Right.
And I would go do Marvel.
I totally agree with that. That's because of my love of Batman and I like Superman, I probably, in my fanboy heart, like DC more.
Oh.
But were I given the choice that they said, hey, you can be a part of our universe or their universe, I'd go to Marvel immediately because they know what they're doing.
Right.
And I trust that, okay, they've wrapped up this part of it, and now they're going to launch the next phase of how do we get there. It's going to be monster. It's going to be monumental. This
next phase of Marvel that involves a Doctor Strange and a Captain Marvel. Eternals, a Black Widow movie, and another Black Panther.
Think Fantastic Four makes its way in there?
I will say this right now. I'm unexcited. However, you give me an X-Men character in Black Widow, I'm going to be like, oh shit. This is going to be huge. I love the Fantastic Four, the founding family of Marvel Comics, but I don't know that their tease would be enough to pull the audience in.
Sure.
You tease an X-Men character like Wolverine and Black Widow, people are going to pay attention, and they're going to watch what's happening with every movie going forward in terms of building that universe. Because the X-Men, as much as we think about them with Marvel Universe, the X-Men is practically its own property. It's bigger than the Avengers have ever been in terms of the Marvel Universe. Their sales are bigger than Avengers.
What they can obviously be building towards at some point is Avengers versus X-Men. That'll be their Phase 5 team up or crossover movie.
I don't mind this fantasy of Avengers versus X-Men. I don't mind this fantasy of moving the Avengers into a bigger role. The problem is we've lost a lot of our main players in the Avengers, and you've got to build a second team of Avengers to make that happen. Otherwise, it's the B team in the Avengers.
West Coast Avengers? Great Lake Avengers?
Maybe, but the problem is you got to pull some of these actors back. I mean, some of these actors, they're like done. They're not coming back. I mean, the love of having...
well, who do you think's not coming back that is not dead? Obviously Iron Man not going to come back, and Captain America is an old man, so he's not going to be joining in. But who else do you think is not going to come back?
Now, in my mind, and this is to go back to when Todd said he liked DC a little bit better in terms of what he grew up with, the Justice League has always been my kind of ultimate team of characters because they were all gods. And I loved when Grant Morrison in the 2000s made them
basically
gods.
A pantheon,
right? Yeah. So Marvel has always been this kind of underdog and angst-ridden people that people bonded with in like the 60s and 70s in terms of what's happening in society.
Real world problems.
And they moved it forward in terms of the Avengers and made it kind of key. I forgot where I was going with this. Anyway, in terms of moving the Avengers forward, you're now dealing with the B team. And there's nothing really... It just reminds me of all of those times with Avengers in the 70s and 80s and 90s where once a year they go, who's now on the team? And we had Star Fox and
Beast
Mantis and these kind of random
Jack of Hearts.
These random characters. So I don't know how you move the Avengers forward without Captain America and Iron Man and Black Widow.
But I think that separating away from you guys who are infinitely more comic book nerdy than I am, the Marvel Universe to me, I knew a lot of those characters, But Doctor Strange, I don't know really anything about him.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Doctor Strange's not really an Avengers character.
But the reason I'm bringing that up, I'm just talking about what they did with the Marvel thing, where they were introducing characters. They kept introducing people that I was like, no one's going to give a shit about this.
When you think about
that, you don't know them. And Iron Man, to be quite honest, that's a big chance to make that your launching point.
From a pop culture standpoint, Iron Man was a B-level Marvel character.
Captain America, if you're going to say how do we launch it, Captain America should have been your launching point.
I'm going to go back on the fact that Marvel characters, in terms of their Justice League-like team, the Avengers, are not the pantheon of gods that Justice League is. So Iron Man, yes, he's led the Avengers. Captain America's led the Avengers. They are strong characters because Marvel has made them strong characters. But in my mind, I don't see them as that prominent. Whereas Superman and Batman and Wonder Woman, it's kind of hard.
I think the reason I was saying that is that I think that what Marvel has done is when they started this, I would almost think arguably did not have outside of the X-Men, Captain America, Spider-Man. To the average moviegoer, did not have a slate of characters that were anywhere near as big as Superman, Batman, Aquaman, Wonder Woman. Every time you go down DC's line, it's like, okay, everybody knows who that is. Flash, people know that.
Iron Man was not,
and so Marvel
was not a character that was like.
I think Hulk probably would have been the most well known.
Yeah,
that's true. But Marvel had that slew of, and they said, you know what, we're going to tell these stories, and we're going to do it. And the thing was, they made good movies. So they were smart.
You're
and put
saying
them out
I shouldn't worry about them moving forward with the
Avengers
because they can bring up characters that
they've
will be
done
strong.
it already, and I think they'll find a way. How do you say Kevin
Feige?
Is it
Feige?
I don't know how to say his last name. The dude's smart. The dude understands, number one, we have to have a game plan. And he's had that game plan. That's why I got so geeked out when I heard he was starting to talk to the Star Wars people. Like, holy crap, maybe they're going to think of something where they tell a real story. Because I think that Star Wars has the same problem that DC does, which is, here's been our identity. How do we
have to always be about Skywalker?
Right. Let's tell something new. Let's start over and let's launch these things. I think that were I DC, and if someone came to me and said, if I was Warner Brothers and somebody said, run our DC program, first thing I'd do is I would scrap everything except Wonder Woman and Batman. I think you've got a great director with Matt Reeves. I think Patty Jenkins, like you said, killed it.
We haven't seen it yet.
We haven't.
And
she may lay a turd. Who knows? But I would at least probably
I mean Matt Reeves, sorry.
No. He's done good work. So
yeah, I have
faith in him.
I really do. He's one of those directors
I am not happy with that costume.
We'll wait and see.
Wait and see.
This is what
these are not official. The stuff that you've seen besides that one test footage is not officially released stuff. So when they first showed Nightcrawler from X-Men 2, the pictures that leaked, had a guy with split pants because they hadn't put the tail on him yet. You're not seeing the final effects of it. You're seeing just that one video that's been in red light, washed over, deliberately hiding stuff of the costume. And then you're seeing set shots that don't have a cape, that they're probably CG on them maybe, that you're seeing a stunt actor in a costume. You're not seeing it the way they want
I hope Matt Reeves goes there, but I would like to see a Bruce Wayne and a Batman evolve from being a street fighter, kind of like a Daredevil-esque character and detective, and then moving into the armor by the final films versus starting off with the armor.
Well, see, again,
and the Batmobile.
You don't know when this takes place in the movie.
I really like to see Batman be a little more ground level than they do with the movies. Like Batman, he's automatically...
Well, that's what they did in Batman Begins. You saw him building his armor. He starts off in the costume where he jumps across the building and he can't make the leap and he messes up.
He's wearing a mask and all that.
I really just hate like armor on Batman.
I want to be honest.
I'm wearing hockey pads.
Who I hate more, and this is because of watching Justice League, I despise the Flash in body armor. Despise it.
I agree.
It should be some kind of very thin lycra that somehow can resist the heat of going so fast.
I mean, they had to explain in the comics that he's got a shield that kind of happens because of the speed force that protects him from the velocity that happens.
Right. Otherwise, he'd burn up.
And then they kind of move into some other random things. The fact that he has to eat a lot of food because he's burning so many calories. Like this kind of fun idea. There's something playful about saying these are impossible characters that should be able to do impossible things all the time.
I agree. I went watching Ezra Miller in those films. I think he's a pretty good actor. I think
he's a great actor.
Even in the Harry Potter type things that I've seen him in, he's he's one of the more compelling things of those movies as an actor. So I'd love to see him do it. I love when they bring in that his blood sugar's low and he needs those kind of things. I like you. I am sick of body armor.
Well, when they did Crisis on Infinite Earths